incredible week. We've had over 10 days, there's 7 venues, 42 shows, 67 films, 36 speakers. It's been an amazing week, and at the beginning of this festival on opening night, I really encouraged everybody. Was anyone here opening night? Okay, cool. I was really encouraging people to go out and have your own experience. Go out and get your own inspiration. And on opening night, we had Liv Sansoz here, who we saw her film Liv along the way, and we heard her story about climbing 82 4,000 plus meter peaks in the European Alps, which is a phenomenal accomplishment. And while we all may not be able to do that, I was encouraging people to sort of find their own little things to do. And after her presentation, she and I were messaging, and I was telling her about Monday's show, beautiful British Columbia. Did anyone go to that at the Cinematheque? Well, I'll tell you just really quickly. At the Cinematheque, locals, that's Bill Maurer, Harry Crerar, David Crerar, they were part of what we had, the Rocky Mountain book series, where authors came in and spoke about their books, and their particular book was The Glorious Mountains of Vancouver's North Shore, right here on our own local mountains. The book highlights 67 peaks, but there's a total of 80 peaks in the North Shore Mountains, and there's this little thing called the Peak Baggers Challenge, which they talked about. And I was telling Liv about the fact that there's this Peak Bagger Challenge, and that apparently last year 3 men did all 80 peaks, 1 woman, Jen Galinsky, did 76, which is really impressive. And Liv was like, oh, you guys should go for it and do all 80. And so it just so happened that Jen was in the audience that night, and so I kind of threw this out there, and she came to talk to me at intermission, and we might have maybe publicly announced that the 2 of us are going to collaborate and support each other. For me, it's not about whether we actually do all 80 peaks or not. It's about the journey. It's about being out there and enjoying the mountains and trying, and we're going to have a darn good summer regardless of what happens. So I hope you each find your own little story that's your inspiration to do something on a smaller scale that could be equally fun. The other thing that I wanted to share about the VIMFF week was there was a lot of social activity. So after the Kelly Cordes show, The Tower at the Rio on Thursday, anybody there? Yeah. Okay, so that's after the show. There's Kelly, there's Doug Robinson, who Doug, I'm sure you and Eve are here somewhere. Yeah, there you go. We got together and go out for beers after the show, and then the following night, Doug's show at UBC. Woohoo, it was an amazing show, and what was really cool was Doug, right up on stage, was like, I'd really like to further this conversation. I would like to, get people together and afterwards, stick around and let's all go out together. And not as many people as I hope took us up, but this little group, there was a couple there that we just met at the theater. They came out, we had a lovely conversation, and while these 2 small photos, it might appear to someone who doesn't have the full story, it's like, oh, look, there's an elite bunch of climbers being cliquey and doing their own thing. The reason why I actually want to share this is because that couldn't be farther from the truth. There were people really wanting to share and connect and meet, and I encourage you all to share and connect and meet amongst yourselves, but also if ever a speaker gets up on stage and says, hey, let's all go out for beers afterwards, take them up on the invitation, because there are some really amazing world-class climbers and authors and filmmakers here that really want to meet and connect. So let's all find our own adventures and let's all get out and meet and connect. Opening night, I also talked about how VIMFF is wanting to essentially, inspire adventurous thought and action for the betterment of people and the planet. So that kind of ties along with the finding your own inspiration and meeting, connecting. And on opening night, I shared, sometimes because there's just so much to do, it's actually difficult to find people to do stuff with because everybody's so busy. And I said, I'm always having a tough time finding people to go out and do, whether it's a mountaineering expedition or climbing or ice climbing or rock climbing or whatever, it's tough. And I said, if anyone ever wants to go do stuff, hit me up. And thankfully, one person did, so Chantal, who's here in the audience again tonight, thank you, Chantal. So she and I are going to go do some hiking in Squamish. But I would again say, reach out to people, connect. It is a tough city because it is so beautiful and because we are all so busy. It's tough to connect and find people to do stuff with, so let's get out there and do more things together. And when you do get out and do those things together, use VIMFF as a vehicle to spread your message. So if there was a film you liked, or a speaker you liked, or a story you want to share, post it on social media, hashtag VIMFF, inspired by VIMFF. There's VIMFF's handle, my handle. We all love to share and go out and inspire the rest of the world. So, we have an exciting program here this evening. As you know, Sasha DiGiulian is in the house, and she's going to talk about her Canadian Alpine Trilogy. Then we're going to take a quick intermission, and then we're going to see Leo Holding's film, Spectre, which is another amazing objective in Antarctica, which is such a beautiful place. So that is the agenda for this evening, and there's going to be lots of draw prizes, and we're going to be doing our raffle draw tonight as well. But our speaker, I first met her right here on this very stage exactly 5 years ago. She was the opening night presenter, VIMFF 2014, and she has been such a personal inspiration to me, not just because she's badass and does epic stuff and is really cool, but also I think it's really important when you look at all of us, we each have our things, and there's all kinds of role models out there, and you need to have role models that you can relate to. So she is a petite climber, and is someone who very often, the hold will be way up there, which for the average climber is like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the problem is, it's right here. And meanwhile, I'm like, but. And I think the fact that she and I she's a little bit bigger than me, but not that much bigger than me, she can climb 514s. So when I'm struggling, trying to move up the grades, I can no longer use I'm too short as an excuse, because if she can do 514s, then surely it is physically possible for me to continue to reach and grow, and while I will never do 514s, maybe I can get into the 511s, and I'd be pretty excited about that and proud of that. So she's really inspired me that way, and I thank you, Sasha, for that. Tonight, she is going to share an amazing story. We're going to get to see some footage for the very first time that's never been shown before. The Canadian Trilogy is 3 big wall climbs that are like 514 grades. Yeah, like, wow. There's only one other human being on the planet who had done this prior. It's Sonny Trotter, who's another VIMFF regular, all-around super cool guy, and he comes here and shares his stories. So she was the second human being on the whole planet to do this climb, and we're going to see some first-time footage and hear her stories about her adventure, and I think I've talked way too much already. So Sasha, you back there? Come on!